Okay, welcome to Bitrix Live. I'm Damien Edwards, Commercial Manager of Bitrix24 Partners Interface. We are gold partners of Bitrix24, located in the UK, have offices in the US and Dubai. Contact details are on the screen there. We are able to provide full implementation service. So starting at pre-sales, we can provide a demo, have a discussion with you about which edition is going to be right for your business, discussions about your particular requirements and how they can be implemented into Bitrix. We then have a full implementation service including customization, training, and we're able to provide a telephone support service as well. So wherever you are in the world, we can provide support, implementation and support for your Bitrix24 project. So post your questions in the chat box on YouTube and we will answer those as and when they come in. We've had some questions through to live at Interface which I can kick off with, so you can send those through during the week or add them to the chat box, as I say. If you want to receive a notification about when we're live, then subscribe to Bitrix24 and Interface on YouTube and click on the notifications bell and you'll receive a link when we go live. There's sessions on any subject, so you can, any subject related to Bitrix24, you can ask any questions and we'll try and answer those questions for you. If you want, if you have more complex questions or requirements, then if you want to email them to sales@Interface, then we can set up a one-to-one demo for you. So let's have a look, see if we've had some questions in. So we had a question in about a workflow. Just go into the site here. And we had a question in about a workflow on a deal, I think. Just have a look. So we'd like a workflow that would, step 1, send an email with a form. Step 2 was to pause. Step 3, when I receive a reply from the customer with a completed form. Step 4 was to send an email confirmation of that, and then update the stage of the lead, and then create a deal. So that's quite straightforward and achievable in the standard automation tab within Bitrix. The first one was to send an email with a form. So I guess the first thing to do is actually to create the form, and we can do that inside Bitrix. If I go to the CRM and if we go into CRM forms, then you can see we have a series of forms here already created. We can add a new one up here. Let's just go into one of the forms that's already created and show you how we can add additional fields in here. So you're probably going to want to capture their, probably not lead name, probably want to capture their name and last name, I guess, and move those ones up to the top. Name, last name, last name. We're not going to need lead name. Probably don't need product list, but you might be collecting things like company name. You might have some custom fields. So these are fields that are standard within the leads module. But if you create a custom field, they'll be available in this lead, in this form. These form fields, you might want to capture their address. So you can, as say, create any custom fields in here. They can be free text fields. They can be date selector fields. They can be file attachment fields. They can be drop-down selection lists as well. So here we've got a selection list. So it might be that you're looking for them to specify one of these options. Let's just take that one out for now. And so you can put in your fields to create your form. We can then specify who's going to be responsible for this. So we're going to be sending an email out with a link to this form, but the form, when it's populated, will generate a record. We want to generate a lead inside this form. So when the fields are completed, we'll create a new entity in here. Probably want to merge this lead with the existing lead that we're going to create. So we'll tick on this box here merge, and there are some additional, let's click on more, some additional things that you can do. You can style it up using some of the standard templates. You can add your own CSS to this to do exactly what you want in terms of styling. Go down a bit further, then it generates the code for us at the bottom, so we can embed that into our web page. So you could embed this into your web page, or you can use, we'll use for this demo, you can use the standard link that it provides. So if we open that one up in a new, let's just save this first with those new fields that we've added. Go back into it, scroll down to the link. Let's copy it first and then open it up. So we've got name, last name, company name and address in this form. If it's embedded on your website, then this is the section that embeds, and the background will obviously be your existing background on the page that you embed it. There are some things you can do around having it as a static form on a page, or just generating a button that will pop up the form, or a link like this. So that's creating the form. We want to send an email with a link to that form. So let's go into the CRM. Let's go into leads, because we want to run this on leads, progress through a couple of different stages on this lead, and then at the last stage we want to generate it in, we want to convert it into a deal inside the system. So inside leads and deals are very similar. They both have, let's just open up deals in a new tab. They both have this option to be able to view them as either a list view like this, or a Kanban view like this. Let's go back into leads. Difference with deals is that you have this value at the top, so it does allow you to move these through stages and the value to follow those through as well. So a deal will have a value, and in addition to that, deals have multiple pipeline options, so you can create any number of pipelines, and each pipeline can have different automation, different workflows, processes, and they can also have different stages as well. So you create the stages that you need as part of your sales process, and you name them that suits your process, but each pipeline will have their own set of stages. So let's go and click into a different one here, and we can see that there's a series of deals that are associated just with this pipeline, and they have different stages, and then we're going to look at automation rules in a second. So that's the difference between leads and deals. You would use leads, as you've correctly said in this request, you would use leads for this process because you're sending out a form. In fact, you could just do this straight on a deal. The reason why you might really want to use leads instead of going straight into a deal is firstly to qualify that prospect, so it might be spam or not worth following up, so you might want to qualify it out. But secondly, leads integrates with a number of different external sources. So an incoming email, incoming telephone call can create a lead automatically. Web forms that we're looking at can generate leads automatically. You can integrate with Facebook, and those chat messages on Facebook can generate leads. We have a website widget, a chat widget tool that you can customize, create, build out inside Bitrix, and then deploy to your website. Those chat conversations will generate leads for you as well. So it's all pre-built for you to be able to integrate with other platforms and generate these leads. Inside the leads, you're able to view them as a Kanban, as a list view like this, and a couple of other ways in a calendar as well, based on, so when you view them in a calendar, you can look at date created on, okay, so you can just view by date created in that one. I think it's different in deals, and you can have a reports page, so this allows you to create a dashboard view like this. Each of these individual component parts on this page can be configured separately. So we have created our form. What we need to do now is, first stage is to send an email with the form. So if we go to our automation rules, we have quite a lot in here already. See if we can maybe take some of these out without resaving it, and just show you how you would build this. Take these out. So the first thing we want to do is send an email. So we use the rules down here, and we can select email. Let's copy that form over again. Okay, if we go back into forms, we just want to copy this here. Click on that little link, that'll copy it for us, and we can paste it into the body of our email. Give the email a subject line, and it's going to run immediately. You can change that to delay. You can have some conditions on here, so it can be looking at additional information in the lead. So you could select any of these things. Let's say currency. So if the lead's in the right currency, it will send it. You could look at responsible person, any of the fields, and use that as a condition as to whether or not this email is sent. But that's essentially what we're going to do, send out an email with a link to the form. So what we're doing now is waiting for a reply from the customer, and then we want to update the stage of the lead and send a confirmation email. So what we'll do is we'll use a trigger now to look for a reply from that customer. So we want let's say we'll call it qualified lead. So we want to know whether they've we can probably use incoming email as a trigger. So should they reply to our email, then we can use that as a trigger. This trigger will change the stage of that lead to this qualified stage, and then we're just going to send out a reply email to it in the same way we did down there. So probably put the reply email in, and the final stage was to put some text in here, and the final stage was to update this to a deal. So we can, in fact, when we get to this stage, this is the final stage, so this will automatically update it. So this, as we've done it on the final stage, it will convert this lead into a deal anyway. If deal is our default, I'll show you that in a second. Deal is our default for qualifying leads, converting leads to deals. So that's it. There are a number of different things you can do. So we send out the email with a link to the form, get a reply to them, we'll send that confirmation email, and because we're doing the trigger on this stage, it will convert it into a deal. Other things that you can do are we can have some control. That's quite good. So you can look at stages of leads if they're not progressing within a time period. You can notify supervisors. You can change responsible people, so as it progresses through to later stages, you can change that to a different person. You could change responsible person, and you could have a condition. So based on the location that this inquiry is from, that could automatically change it to the guy that looks after that particular region for you. Those are actions or rules. And then in terms of triggers, incoming call, incoming email. You can look at email viewed or email clicked as well. So if you're sending out emails, you can just use a trigger. If they've opened that email, that can actually be a trigger to change the stage of this lead. Okay, form submission, actually, that's the one we should have used here. We've used email, we should have used form submission. So actually, that should have been up there instead of incoming email. So we're looking at whether they've completed that form or not. We can select the form that we've just created from this list. Sorry, I put the wrong one in there. Should be form submission, not email. And that's it. So that will, we're looking for that form to be submitted. That will send an email. It will convert it to a deal in the system. Let's just have a look at, let's close that down. Just look at converting leads to deals. When we convert a lead, if we click on the final stage, it will prompt us to convert this or to close it down. We do have the option to convert leads into more than one entity. So typically you will convert a lead, well typically you probably convert a lead into a company and a contact like this. So you'll get a company record with which will bring in the lead name and create that as the company record, and then the contact record will be the person's name and their telephone number and email address. And those records will associate with each other, but the second records that have an association. You can also create a deal company and contact. So you've got the company record, the person that works at that company, and then you've got the deal as the opportunity you can work on. And so with the deal you can have different stages then. You can have a value to it, you can have some different automation. You can, if I click on that, it tells me, asks me manually which pipeline I want it to go into, so you can have different pipelines, as we said, for different parts of your business or different product categories, different regions, however you want to use pipelines in your business. This is set to default to generate a deal. Then in the automation it will generate a deal, and that's what it will do. It won't generate a company or a contact, so on the default you have. That's it. See if you've got any. Post your questions inside the chat window, and I can answer those. Is there a way to create preset tasks for a project? So you can do this. You can create task templates. If we go into tasks, we've done this. We've done this before. We've answered this before. Very similar questions. Two ways of doing this. So just to show you tasks, I can create a new task here, and it presents me with a form, and I can complete all the fields I need to create that task in a manual way. Or there is a way to create like a very quick form of creating tasks that just gives you, asks for a task name, deadline, and responsible person. All tasks have got to have a responsible person. It's got to be assigned to somebody. But you do have task templates. New task using templates. So we've got these templates here. Let's have a look at that. Template. So it gives it a name, gives it some content. It's pre-populated the responsible person and the participants, deadline, and things like that. So to also put it in the right group that you want it to go in. So you can go into all templates here, and then add a template. You can create your templates and then just trigger them like that. You have this form that shows you the main fields, and then if you click on the more, you can add additional fields. If you want to pin those up to the top, then they sit in that top part. Those are the main fields that you use. So create the task template, save it, and then you can access it. There is another way of creating task templates for a project, and that would be if we go into the CRM and we go into deals, let's go into automation. I think we can create tasks from here, so let's have a look. Create task, there we are. So you can create a series of tasks that will be automatically generated when a deal reaches a certain stage. So typically when a deal becomes 1, you might want to then create the task to deliver that project. So using the deal 1 stage, we can populate a number of different tasks to create. And you can use some of the information from the deal. So let's say we want to use the deal name to give the task name. So we might say task for, and we can bring in the deal name, so deal name here. And then you can do the same thing with fields that sit inside, any fields that sit inside the task. You can bring that into the, any fields that sit inside the deal, because we're running this on a deal, so you can bring information in from the deal. So any fields, whether they're standard fields or custom fields that are inside the deal that have information populated into them, you can bring them in here. So things like the responsible person, that's gonna bring in the responsible person for the deal to make them the responsible person for the task, but you can change that. So you can create a series of tasks like this, and then save them in here, and when you get to deal 1 it will create those tasks. So that's actually a more structured way to creating a project. It doesn't mean that it will happen every time unless you put conditions in each of the tasks, but every time someone clicks on one, it will create those tasks for you. You can create different tasks, you can have different automation based on the different pipelines you use. So you can have different tasks based on, they're going to be different product categories you're working on, so they'll have different ways you need to deliver that product, so they're probably different tasks. So you can create different ones for different tasks. Let me just show you, because we don't have any other questions in at the moment, let me just show you another way of doing that. So if we go into, if you're an administrator inside the CRM, you can go into settings, and you can go into automation, business processes, and if we go into deal, add template under deal, we can use our business process template. So this is a workflow tool, same as automation just looked at. It works a little bit differently, has some additional advantages. I think there's some additional action blocks that you use. You have a self-hosted version of Bitrix. It has PHP blocks, so you can inject your own code to really achieve anything. So it has some additional advantages doing it this way. It doesn't have the triggers, but it has conditions, which I'll show you. So you create, give it a title here. You're going to run this. The other additional advantage of using a business process is you can run them manually. Instead of adding one of these boxes, so when a new deal is added, this would trigger it, or when a new deal is changed, this would trigger it by selecting those. We're going to deselect both of those, and this will be then just the responsibility of the person that's won the deal to click in and run this process manually. Might be that actually you need some interaction to decide whether a project needs creating, or these tasks need creating. So in its simplest form, I mean, probably what we would do is have a condition, I guess. So you can have a series of conditions that will look at the deal. If there's some drop-down selection boxes in the deal that categorize the deal in certain ways into product groups or what have you, you can use this condition to look at those fields and what we've got available, but let's do it by responsible person. So let's say the responsible person is this person, Mike Black. So if it's a deal that Mike Black has won, oops, can I copy that? Oops. Copy it on here, but let's just put that back in again. So let's call that Mike Black. Save that. Let's put another one in. Let's get rid of that one. We don't need 3. And if it's a deal that is responsible to equals John Smith, call this John Smith. Then, so based on, we're going to look at who's responsible for the deal, and based on who's responsible for it, we're going to create a series of tasks that are slightly different for each one of those. So what you need to do now is bring in your tasks. Here, series of tasks. Let's say if it's Mike Black, there's only one task. If John Smith, there's a series of tasks. and you can then populate the content of those tasks by giving it a name and some deadline dates, a description. What you want to do is choose the group it's going to go into. So we can get the group. Can we get the group? Too sure how we do that. Can't remember how we do that. You can get the group. You'll be able to find the group that's relevant. Maybe they'll be aware of finding the right group, because it might be that you don't want to just sort of like put it into a standard group. It might be looking at, well, who was this deal, which customer was this deal associated with, and which group was this customer associated with. Might need to do a bit of a tiny bit of coding to be able to look for that correct group. But you can pre-populate the other fields that exist in here, and then do that with each of those tasks. So tasks can sit alone. So if you didn't understand what I mean by groups, tasks can sit on their own, but generally tasks sit within work groups. But I'll show you work groups because we haven't got any questions, but post any more questions, but post your questions in the chat window. But essentially that's 3 ways of creating task templates. One was we just create a template and then manually generate that task from that template. Second one was to use automation. Third one was to use a business process like this, all a little bit different. As I say, just to finish off, when you create the tasks, they can sit alone or they can sit within a work group. So if we just go into our tasks page, then we'll see that these tasks here all sit within a group like this. And so generally you put tasks inside a group. If we click and open up a work group, then you can see the tasks that sit within that work group. So a work group will be either a project you're working on, or it might be that you have a work group for each client, and then the tasks within that work group are individual projects for that client. Processing leads which come from suppliers. Have a try converting to contact and company. Is the email associated with new objects? Is the email associated with new objects if I junk the lead? I'm not sure I understand. Processing leads which come from suppliers. I would try converting to contact and company. Is the email associated with new objects if I junk the lead? Well, I mean, if you junk the lead, the email is not going to be associated with any new objects at all. So let's go back into the CRM. And if we go into one of our leads. So we've got this lead here. It's come from a live chat, so a chat widget. And you've got the option to convert, as we said, or junk it. This has an email address. If you convert this to a contact and a company, this email address will populate the email field inside the contact record. If you junk it, nothing happens to it. It closes the lead, sends it to this stage, and the email address just stays there. So it transfers across if you convert it to a contact. If you don't, nothing happens to that lead. So there is our contact details. Let's have some questions from you. What does the extranet mean? Can my extranet users see details in my CRM? So within Bitrix you have main users and you have extranet users. If you're on a cloud package, if you're on a professional package, you get unlimited numbers of users. I have to check whether Let's have a quick look. So, just want to explain the difference between an intranet user and an extranet user. Let's go into pricing. So here we go, users. So if you're on a free package, you get 12 users. CRM Plus, there's 6 users, and then 50 and unlimited users on a professional package. On-premise is priced a little bit differently. They come in, so to get unlimited, you need the enterprise package. That's a one-off cost. Essentially a one-off cost, but you need, there's an amount you need to pay each year if you want to keep receiving updates. But these are all internal users, intranet users, main users of the system. You can grant them permission to access any area of the system, including being administrators of the system. So they can access CRM, tasks and projects, all the HR tools, the activity streams, anything within the system. They can even become administrators to be able to create sites and do automation, what have you. But extranet users are external people, generally external people. I mean, sometimes you might create some internal staff as extranet users in order to save on cost on licensing. What they can't do is the main thing they can't do is access your CRM. So the quick answer is no, they can't see details of your CRM. So every time you click on a page within Bitrix, try and open up a new record in Bitrix. So I click on a new page, then I need to be authorized to access that page. So if I'm not authorized to access, let's say, this Techco company in the CRM, but I happen to know the URL, if I'm logged in and put this URL into my browser, it will open the page, but it will tell me that I don't have access to this record. So we'll check. You need to be authorized every time you open a new page, so it will check that you have the correct permissions. And if you're an extranet user, you don't have permission at all to access any records in the CRM. So should your extranet user get this URL, they still can't access this information on this page. So they can't access any area of the CRM, which would be normal, I think, in terms of your extranet users are usually your customers or suppliers. You're not really going to want to give them access to the CRM. They can't access any of the HR tools as well. So again, sort of a normal functionality is that internal users can book in leave, request leave, submit expenses and do things like that. So you can use the leave request form, but that's an internal process. So extranet users don't get access to this at all. So they can't access CRM, can't access HR tools. They can access, of course, they won't be able to access things like CRM marketing, online stores, all these links which MailChimp, there's some custom links in here from integrated applications, but they basically get access to the work group you invite them in. So when you create an extranet user, you need to associate them with a work group, otherwise they can't access anything. So if we open up one of our work groups, you can see we have my work groups, extranet work groups. These are all work groups that are created to allow external people to access. And this is what an extranet user can access. So they can access tasks within their group. If you give them access to this task, they can see if we've got an extranet. We've got an extranet user in here. This user here is external user. If I'm logged in as that person, I will be able to comment on this task. I'll be able to see all the information in terms of dates and stages on this task. Fully collaborate with your internal team inside here. So they'll see the tasks they're able to see. They get access to the stream like this, and any comments they'll be able to comment on, reply to like this. They can create their own new message to post that to the group. They get access to the calendar. They get access to the drive, so you can share documents with them. They can upload documents as well to the drive. You can use the chat widget fully with extranet users. So this is the extranet user up here. So I can send out chat instant message to this group of users. just have a look at a different group, and because if we've got it enabled in the group, then you could actually have a video call as well with this group like this. Let's hang up. So you can chat with them, you can share files and things with them, you can have a video conference call now with up to 10 people, and those people can be Extranet users of your system, so those can be your clients and suppliers that can come in. Point I wanted to make about Extranet users was that, which I took a long route round, but Extranet users are free of charge. So you get a number of internal users based on the license you have. You can have any number of Extranet users then inside the system free of charge. As I say, Extranet users are generally your clients or suppliers, but some businesses, in order to save on licensing costs, might invite some of their internal people in as Extranet users, because, as we can see here, they get access to a lot of functionality. Tasks, activity streams, calendars, drive, chat features. We have a feature called lists as well. It's actually very useful. So you can create tables of data. This one for expenses. So as an Extranet user, I could add my own list of expense item in here. Nice thing about this table of data in Bitrix, rather than, as opposed to doing it in a spreadsheet or something, is that you can rearrange the data. You can filter the data using this. You can then run business processes on them that you create. So it's more data in a structured format that you can do a bit more with than you can on Excel. So yeah, put our contact details up there. Can I transfer free domain or web page 1 to another domain? I don't know, so I don't know what that means. Can I transfer free domains or web page 1 to another domain? So I'm not too sure, maybe we could try and elaborate, but essentially with Bitrix, it could be a couple of things you're talking about here, but you can, if you have a self-hosted version, which this is, you can host it on any domain. You install the software on your server, either an in-house server or a web server, and you then configure a domain, point it to the IP address of that server, and then your users are accessing it on something like portal.mycompany.com. You can do that on the self-hosted. On the cloud accounts, if you have a professional, see if we can go back to here, see if we can see it in here. Okay, it's probably not sure where it is. I mean, we could expand these and have a look, but you can anyway. If you have a professional, not looking, I don't know where it is. If you have a professional, you can point your own domain to your instance. You can't do it on any of the other cloud accounts. You have to have the top cloud account. So that's one. Yeah, it could be one thing you're referring to there. It might be that you're referring to actual sites builder within Bitrix. So Bitrix has sites, and you can create landing pages or fully blown websites. If we go into this one that we've created here, and you have a tool which allows you to, edit ad blocks. I can add any type of content that we have available, lots and lots of standard content, including huge amounts, thousands and thousands of standard images. You can add your content to this, build this website, and then you can preview it, firstly on a temporary domain like this, but you can publish it. Let's have a look how we do that. Can publish it to your own domain. So, to be honest, I'm not too sure where the settings are for that. Let's see if it's in here. Page precedence, site preferences. Okay. Okay, so we get given a site address, which is something.bitrix24.site. You can edit that, so you can edit this text here, provided it's available, not used by somebody else, and host it on bitrix24.site. Or you can have your own domain. So you can type in your own domain into here, provided you own it, because you will be required to update these records with your domain provider. And by doing that, you will be able to access that website from that domain. So, let's see if you've got any more questions. If you want to expand on that question about how can I transfer a free domain or web page one to another domain, then let me know. You can't really do anything with domains. In Bitrix doesn't supply domains or anything, domain names. You need to register those, and then as we saw there, if you want to point them using these settings, DNS settings with your provider, then should happen quickly. Does Bitrix24 Sites Cloud support Google AMP Tech? Fortunately, I don't know what AMP Tech is. It may do. I'm not too sure what it is. If you have self-hosted version of Bitrix, it will support pretty much anything, provided you know how to do it. So let's just close some of these down and show you self-hosted version just quickly. Self-hosted version does have a full API, so one of benefit over the cloud products. It also has this control panel area. Let's just go back into the site, and you can see an admin bar across the top. I see that because I'm an administrator of the site, but main users don't see that. I can expand this, and I can edit pages or create pages from here. So actually click into this editor tool, allows me to view the code on this page and edit at a code level. I can inject additional modules which are available on the right hand side into this page, and you have an editor tool which allows me to do either click in here and edit the settings in here, or go into the code down here. You can exit without saving. You can also go into edit mode like this, and you can edit individual components now by rolling over them. So I can now edit the menu items if I want to do that, and then edit the body of the page as well. So you can do, with the self-hosted, you can do a lot more. If I go into the control panel as well, which is just a self-hosted product, does allow me to then access all these different settings within the services section. Go into settings again, more settings in the sections. I get access to all the files and folders, so you can actually drill down into each individual PHP files, and you can edit these. Open that up, and I can edit the code if I want to within there. So full access to all the database and all the files if you've got a self-hosted version. So if you don't do that, it still benefits to the self-hosted. Still benefits in terms of you can configure it. Everything's much more configurable. So following up from Google AMP technology for mobile, accelerated mobile pages. Sorry, I still don't know what accelerated mobile pages are, but so I guess it hasn't got that supported. It's not something I've heard of before. But I mean, you do. Let's go back into the site builder and just have a quick. Let's go back into site builder. You can view pages. Let's go into preview. You can view them as a here. I can select to view them as in a web browser, as a tablet, and as a mobile. So you can see they're responsive. Guessing accelerated mobile pages is one beyond responsiveness, but it does format these for a mobile. So all the widgets that are standard widgets that you can use to create these pages, they're all responsive like this. Okay, that's our contact details. So if you want to get in touch afterwards for a demo, if you're an existing user of Bitrix and you want some more support, we provide a telephone support package. You get a dedicated contact in our office who's available on the phone or any other means of communication. They'll learn about your business, what you're trying to achieve with Bitrix, there to support you at any time. We can provide training sessions. We can obviously customize. So if you've got something specific in mind you want to do, it's out of the ordinary, we can do that project for you. But if you're not a user and you're considering Bitrix, then if you want a demo, then you get in touch with us. We'll put you in touch with a sales engineer who'll be able to find out exactly what you want to achieve and then tailor a demo to show you exactly how that can be done inside Bitrix. Hi, the Bitrix support chat box seems to be offline, and messages we send do not go through. Is another line of communication for Bitrix support. Bitrix support chat box. Well, I don't know about Bitrix support chat box. Not sure. If then Bitrix support's offline, you'd have to contact Bitrix support. If you want support, best to come to a partner. As I say, take out a support contract with Bitrix, with Interface. We're never offline. We're open from 9 a.m. Gulf Standard Time to 5 p.m. New York Eastern Standard Time. So we're open for around 18 hours a day. We're not offline. The only way, if you want to get the most out of Bitrix, especially if you've got a self-hosted or you want to do a lot of customization or create a lot of processes, the only way really is to work with a partner or learn it all yourself. So Bitrix Cloud Editions are designed as they're very, very low cost for the functionality you get, very low cost. And so they're designed as self-service tools. You do get support, chat support, but as mentioned here, that seems to be offline. I'm sure, it's probably not offline, it's probably just in a queue waiting for other people. So support's limited based on the price you pay for the product. If you want to really get the most out of it, then you need to pay a partner, I guess, to get that enhanced support. Hi, how can we get the current exchange rate from central bank? So you can, Bitrix has currencies, as we come out of this. So within the CRM, you can add your own currencies, and you can deal in multiple currencies. So you can create quotes and invoices in multiple currencies. I think you can add any currency you want. I'm going to currencies. There we've got pounds, dollars, and euros in here, and we have an exchange rate as well. So what you have is a reporting currency here. And you have an exchange rate from that currency to the other currencies that you use. So in order to be able to create reports or information on sales that is relevant, you convert back to that base currency and from one of these other currencies based on the exchange rate that you put in. You put this exchange rate in here. Oh, that's a dollar one, let's go into the pound. So we have $1 to £1 equals $1.50 in here. So you put those in manually. There is no way currently of integrating with a live system. No way a standard of doing it, but we'll integrate with the live system. We have done it with as an online currency provider that has an API, I can't remember what they're called, but we can integrate with some live exchange rates for you. You would need a self-hosted version of that because currently there's no pre-built sort of app or integration that allows you to get live rates. So if you had self-hosted, we can deploy that integration for you. There doesn't seem to be any auto-update currency conversion. If you sell in a lot of currency, this can be a pain. Yeah, absolutely. So it does not have any automate, as I say, no automated. You put your exchange rate in. Some businesses want a static exchange rate and want to update that once a month. That can actually be a better for some businesses. They don't want it to be floating. But if you want it to float, then you need a self-hosted, and we can come back to us if you have that. If you want a self-hosted edition of Bitrix, then firstly we can come to us and we'll provide the license. We will install it on your server, or we'll install it on an instance on our server for you and give you cloud access. On the self-hosted, it's still cloud access. You still access it through the app. You still access it through the browser in the same way that you access the cloud edition. Still essentially a cloud product, but essentially we'll install it for you or host it for you, install it on your server or host it for you. And we'll get a backup of your cloud data. We'll restore that to your new self-hosted instance, and then we can deploy the exchange rate, integration for you. So we can do it all for you. How difficult is it to migrate from cloud to self-hosted? It's not difficult at all, but you do have some downtime. So we have to first install your self-hosted instance. When that's ready, we request the data from Bitrix. We request a slot. That might mean that you have to have 1 to 2 days where, if it's very big, it can take quite a long time to actually download. So you might have to have 1 to 2 days where we request that you don't put any more data in your cloud account because that won't be transferred to the new one. But so you've got 1 to 2 days where you're down between requesting the data and actually installing the new data onto your cloud. So there's no charge for that. If you were to do that through us and buy the license from us, we'll do it all for you. You can't do. Can we set up payments as installments? I guess you're referring to self-hosted. On the cloud, you pay monthly. On the self-hosted, you pay annually. Can't pay monthly for self-hosted. It's actually not. It's very, very competitively priced. And if we look at this one, a 12-user account, $1,500 is a lifetime price for that 12-user self-hosted software. You need to just budget for 25% of that cost per year after that in order to continue to receive updates, and it should be something you definitely budget for. So about $370 a year, actually cheaper than other cloud accounts. The only thing is you've got to have additional support, really. It's going to be a struggle without any partner support on the self-hosted. It's more advanced, and you need to consider those costs for hosting. So you have to pay annually. You'll pay more in the first year. There'll be some training and things like that, costs that you're probably going to need, although there's a lot of videos available. But we wouldn't recommend anyone taking out a self-hosted edition of Bitrix without partner support to do that. It's a lot more advanced, more things that can go wrong, but there's more things that can go right as well. Okay. We are, if we don't have any more questions, we will wrap it up. Subscribe to Interface on YouTube, INTREFACE, and also if you want to watch webinars, if you go to interface.com/webinars, then we run all the English language webinars for Bitrix. You can register on our website or on the Bitrix24 website for our webinars. We do one every Monday on different subjects. So next week is project management. We also look at CRM, we look at self-hosted edition, we look at business process and automation, we look at telephony tools, we look at sites product as well. So every week on a different subject. Okay, don't think we have any more questions. We will wrap it up for now. Thanks for your time. Hope to see you next time.